What the heck is up, you guys? It's your boy Ace, aka Animated Heroes, here back with another action figure review. Today we're going to be taking a look at none other than the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Super CGI Broly. And this is one I'm not all that excited about, but I picked it up to bring you guys a review. So without wasting any time, let's go ahead and dive right into that sexy packaging. Now for the box, it's pretty much the same exact thing that we've gotten with all the other Dragon Ball CGI figures. You got the brown color in the background. It does say Broly Superhero right here in silver, as it does with all of the other figures. You got the window where you can see the figure, as well as some images along the side. Ages 15 and up, Dragon Ball Super. You got Tamashii Nation's Bandai right there, the Toei sticker. Here are those side images, which, I mean, looks okay. Nothing much going on at the top, nothing much going on at the bottom, other than a few more images. And then of course on the back you got the figure in some poses you can get it into, as well as some of the accessories. Then you got a bunch of stuff at the bottom I can't read because I did import this figure. Now if you're wondering where I picked this guy up from, I did get it from Hobby Genki. I do believe it's currently out of stock, so if you want to get your hands on this guy, you might have to look for some domestic sellers. But yeah, anyway, let's go ahead and bust this figure open so we can take a look at it. Now straight out of the packaging, what you're getting with this figure is essentially a brand new upper body with a completely reused lower body from the armored Broly that we got years ago, and it makes sense. It's something that we've come to accept with the Dragon Ball line because reuse makes sense when it comes to these characters, simply because their outfits don't change very much anyway. So with this Broly, I gotta say, it does look very good, but there's one issue that I have with it, and it might not even be something that needs to be an issue, but I feel like he's a tad bit too big. Like, I remember when Broly's powered down like this, he is quite a bit smaller, and it feels like this figure is still on the larger side. I don't know, once I get to the size comparisons you guys can tell me, but I remember him being much smaller. Now I could be wrong, maybe it's just my perception. I'm definitely not going to go back and watch the CGI movie. Maybe I'll go back and rewatch the Broly movie to find out, but again, it could just be me. You guys tell me once we get to the size comparisons. But anyway, let's go ahead and take a closer look at this guy so we can examine some of the details. Now taking a look at this guy up close, the first thing that I want to point out is that the facial expressions are a lot more simple on this version of Broly than the previous versions we got of this same character. And I think it's because of the fact that it is a CGI'd version of Broly, which is also why I believe that all the faceplates are completely new. They don't have that detailed sculpt work above the eyebrows like the original ones, and they don't have that same grittiness to them, which makes sense. Again, it's a CGI movie, so it's going to be a lot more simplistic. I can't tell if the hair sculpt is the same one that we got with the armored Broly or not. This appears to be a new sculpt, but unfortunately I don't have either of those older figures to compare it to, just because I don't really care for this particular version of Broly. Now when it comes to the shirt that he's wearing, it's skin tight, and so honestly you're not gonna really get any kind of detail on it. It almost, if I was filming this in black and white, it'd probably look like he was shirtless, because the only thing you'd be able to tell that he's wearing a shirt is right around the collar where you see a little bit of sculpt work right there, but that's about it. I wish they would have sculpted some wrinkles like on the arms, like around the biceps or tricep areas, just to show that he's wearing a shirt, but it doesn't really make any difference. It's all gray, as you guys can see. These gauntlets are painted nice enough. There's a bit of white bleeding into the black, but it's not that much of a bother. These hands are probably the same ones we've gotten before. The ear that he wears as a sash, I want to say this is the same piece. I'm almost 1000% sure that it is. Again, they could have added some shading to this. It's a $90 figure, and with reused parts like this, I do think something like that would have made it pop. Again, another spot that they could have added some shading is right along like his calves and leg muscles. Like, if they would have added some black wash or something in here, I really feel like it would have made this figure pop. I don't know why Tamashii Nations does that sometimes and then other times they don't, but I do think it just would have made this figure look a whole lot better. And then all the way down to the boots, again, same thing we've gotten before. So nothing really wows me about this figure. Maybe it's just because I'm not all that into the Dragon Ball line anymore, but it's cool. Now anyway, let's go ahead and put him back so we can see how tall he stands. Now, when it comes to the height of this figure, to the top of his head, as you guys can see, he is pushing about 6.5 inches to the top of his hair, about 5.5, actually a little bit more than 5.5 to the top of his head. So very, very tall figure. Of course, we will be doing size comparisons a little bit later to see how he scales with the rest of the Dragon Ball line. When it comes to the articulation on this guy, he doesn't really look up too much because of the hair. As soon as it touches the back of his neck, that's about as much as you're going to get. He does get tilt and turn and all that good stuff. He looks down about that much, which isn't too bad. A lot of this range of motion is going to come out of the neck, so just make sure you're aware of that. The arms can go up and out about that much, so punching poses are not going to be a problem. He does have a bicep swivel. His arms will come in about that much, so if you want him grabbing his opponents, punching forward, any of that stuff is not going to be a problem. Driving a spaceship, I don't know why he'd do that, but he can. He does have double jointed elbows that bend in about that much, so he can totally flex and show the muscles, no problem. That's perfect. His hands are on a huge ball peg. They move around about the same as you get with most Dragon Ball figures. They will be a bit limited because of the gauntlets, so make sure you're wary of that. And I didn't plug that all the way back on, so don't worry about it popping off. At the diaphragm, he moves around very well. I think this is probably the best point of articulation for me. He leans back about that much, leans forward about that much, and then again, all this rocker. He turns at the waist, no problem. His foot kicks forward about that much. I think it's drop down. Actually, yeah, it is drop down. So he can kick forward about that much, which isn't the best, but you got to keep in mind you do have this sash piece. He can do the splits very, very well. He does have a thigh swivel, double jointed knees. Not the most effective, but they do work. Foot goes down about that much, up about that much, not very much at all. He does have a bit of ankle rocker, but it's going to be limited by this piece right here. I feel like they could have just cut that out completely, but whatever. And then anyway, he does have a toe hinge as well. So articulation wise, about the standard for Dragon Ball SH Figuarts. I think it's fine for the most part. Whatever poses you want to get this guy into, you shouldn't have much of a problem doing so. Now, when it comes to accessories for this guy, he's pretty weak, but he comes with, I think, what you need for Broly. He comes with a neutral expression and a pair of fist hands right out of the packaging. He comes with this really dope teeth gritted face. He comes with a yelling, screaming face, which I think this is probably my favorite of the bunch. And then he does come with this crying face for that scene at the very end of the movie. I'll be honest, I thought this part was super corny. Some people might like it, but I thought it was whack, as well as the rest of the movie. Anyway, he comes with a pair of reaching, grabbing, stylish pose, attacking type hands, and then he also comes with a pair of blasting hands, which he doesn't come with any blasts. I feel like this would have been the perfect figure to throw those in, especially since this next accessory isn't even canon to the actual movie this figure is based on. He comes with this hand gesture. If you remember, this is actually from the Dragon Ball Broly movie, where Chila says something like everything's gonna be okay, and she makes this hand gesture, and then he does the same thing trying to mimic her. This is what that particular scene is from. So if they're giving us accessories from the previous movie, why not throw in a couple of energy blasts, even if they're reused blasts from the old Broly? I feel like that would have been perfect, but for whatever reason they skipped out on those. Now, one last accessory he comes with is this alternate hair sculpt. It's a windswept hair piece for Gohan, and if you guys want to see what that looks like, here it is. Now, honestly, this is cool for the Build-A-Figure Gohan, but if I'm being completely honest with you guys, this did not entice me to buy this figure at all. Now, they could have thrown in literally any other accessory and I would have been fine with it. This isn't bad, but it's so far from great. It almost feels unnecessary. I think they just wanted to throw in a little something extra for Gohan. Don't get me wrong, it looks good, but I don't know. Anyway, it's cool. Moving on to size comparisons. I don't really show 5 figures in frame, but I really wanted to show you guys what he looks like next to all of the figures in the line so far. Here he is standing next to the CGI Vegeta, the CGI Piccolo, the CGI Gohan, which is essentially the best figure, and then the CGI Goku, which is still somehow the one that I had the most fun with, despite it being the worst figure. Now, again, it just looks like he's too tall. Am I tripping? You guys tell me. I feel like he should be a tad bit smaller and a little bit more slim. I think that's how he's drawn when he's powered down. But again, I could be wrong. You tell me. Here he is standing next to some more Dragon Ball figures. We have the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Super Jiren, who would manhandle this guy. I don't care what anyone says. We have him standing next to the SH Figuarts Dragon Ball Z updated 2.0 3.0 Trunks, and I still think this is the best figure in this line to date, despite some of the QC issues that it has. And then lastly, we have him also standing next to the 3.0 or third release Final Form Frieza, which is probably the best painted. As you can see, he scales well with all of these figures, and I'm okay with this. Here he is standing next to some dope anime figures of dope anime characters. We have him standing next to the Buzzma Demon Slayer Kimetsu no Yaiba Tengen Uzui. We have him standing next to the Reveltech My Hero Academia or Boku no Hero Academia Endeavor. And then last but not least, we have him standing next to the Figma Jujutsu Kaisen Greatness Satoru Gojo. And if you don't know, Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2 airs in less than 2 weeks, and Gojo is about to come back with the greatness. Last but not least, for some Spider-Man-esque figures from different lines, we have him standing next to the Marvel Legends 3-pack No Way Home Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, the SH Figuarts Venom from the MCU movie, if it's considered MCU, and then we also have him standing next to a Mafex or Metacom Toy Symbiote / Black Suit Spider-Man. Now for my final thoughts on this figure, I gotta say, it's pretty decent. It's nothing special. It's the same thing we've gotten before. It's a bunch of reused parts with some new to create another costume of a character that we've already gotten multiple figures of before. That's what the Dragon Ball line consists of a lot of times, unless of course they are making a brand new character like some of the ones we do have coming out later on this year, such as Dr. Gero, Android 19, etc, etc. Now for this figure, I do have to say there is one particular reason that I do recommend picking it up if you're someone who wants to complete their Z team from Dragon Ball Super. I do strongly believe that this is the version of Broly that we are going to be seeing in the manga going forward and the anime if it ever returns, because the armored version of Broly I don't think we'll see again, because he got that outfit from Frieza. He has no reason to return to Frieza, and I don't think Vegeta and Bulma even have that particular type of armor on Earth, so there'd be no reason for them to give it to Broly. And then this particular shirt here, I think he's either going to wear this or he's just going to be shirtless, which I doubt is something that's going to happen often. I think this is going to be the go-to Broly outfit. So if you want a version of Broly to fight alongside Goku and Vegeta for whenever they complete that version of the Z team, I think this is the one to get. Now that being said, this is a web exclusive. I think it's sold out all over Japan, so if you're planning on getting your hands on this, you might have to pick it up at like maybe Big Bad Toy Store or something. Maybe they have it in stock. I'm not entirely sure. I kind of just bought this at Hobby Genki and completely forgot about it. So yeah, if you do plan on getting it, I would say pick it up now. With it being a web exclusive, that means it's probably not going to get any kind of re-release, so don't sleep on this guy if you want to get it. It's cool for the price point. It's not great, but that's how I feel about a lot of Dragon Ball figures that we get multiple versions of. It's just like I've kind of already experienced this, so the hype isn't 100% there. But overall, I do think it's worth picking up. Now I hope that you guys enjoyed this review. If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up. That always helps me out. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. Make sure to hit that bell icon to be notified whenever I upload new content. And last but not least, follow me on everything you see listed in the description below to keep up with my activity outside of YouTube. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. Stay safe wherever you are, and bye. By the way, something quick I forgot to mention in the review is that I did get some information. If you do have the previous versions of Broly, the armored version or the powered up version, the faceplates do fit onto this figure as well as the head sculpt. So if you want to interchange parts to make like a Super Saiyan Broly or something like that, it is possible. So I think maybe that's why they made this figure that bulky, for the particular purpose of interchangeable parts. Either way, yeah, good information for you guys to know. Peace out.